Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Sorry, I'm a bit scruffy, but it's the middle of the night and I'm trying to get my work done for the next, however many days before I take my birthday weekend off. So, bit of a serious video today, bit of a heavy topic. I'm going to be reading quite a lot for this one because I want to get the facts right and stuff. But today I want to talk about a news article that I read just this evening actually, and an issue which I think is really important here in the UK and that maybe isn't getting as much attention worldwide, so I kind of wanted to bring attention to my non-UK viewers and also to my UK viewers as well and kind of talk about this issue. So basically, on April the 8th, The Independent released an article with the title, "Black people are going missing in vast numbers, but campaigners say their cases are being ignored." And basically, this entire article claims that, and I quote, "Black people are 4 times more likely to be reported missing in England and Wales, but that the UK police just aren't taking their cases as seriously, which is a real issue for both the victims and their families." This obviously needs to be taken really seriously, as it could be indicative of institutionalized racism, and it definitely warrants further investigation and, honestly, action. Policies and procedures need to be put into place so that this doesn't happen. The article tells us that, according to recent data from the National Crime Agency, black people accounted for 14% of missing people in England and Wales between 2019 and 2020, which is over 4 times their relative population. So in the UK, black people make up around 3% of the population, but 14% of missing people. That is huge. That's a lot. That's a lot, is what I'm saying. In London between 2019 and 2020, black people accounted for 36% of missing people, which is twice their population in the city, which is 13%. Again, huge discrepancy there. However, Sadia Ali, who is the founder of a charity called Minority Matters, which is based in North London, they've reported that the relatives of missing black people actually feel their lives are not given the same value as other lives, which is incredibly serious and something that obviously needs addressing. This article is using the cases of missing people in London as examples of this. So, for example, we've spoken about Sarah Everard on this channel before. When she went missing, the police acted immediately, and there was a widespread search for her. It was covered all over the news. You couldn't open up your phone or turn on the TV or open a website without seeing Sarah Everard and her face everywhere. However, during that same time period and during this last year, however long, there's been way more black people and people of colour who have gone missing, especially in London, that just haven't received that same attention. And you kind of have to ask why. Just to name a few of these, most recently we've had the case of Richard Okorogea. Others include, as just a few examples, Blessing Olusegun, Bieber Henry and Nicole Smallman. And this is just a few, and I'll be honest, other than Richard, these names were completely new to me, and I did start questioning myself, well, why haven't I heard about these? Surely I care about, well, I do, I care about their disappearances as much as Sarah Everard's. So why hasn't there been as much media coverage? Why didn't the police take these cases as seriously? Because we'll see, it's not just that they didn't get the public attention, it's that the police didn't act as quickly or as seriously either, which is a huge problem. So the Independent article reports that in all cases except one, the family members have accused the respective police forces of not taking their disappearances seriously, which is a huge issue. I can't believe I even have to say that, because no life should be deemed more important than any other, especially if that level of importance is being determined by race. That's disgusting. In the case of Richard Okorogea, for example, when his parents reported him missing, apparently one officer turned around to his mum and said, "If you can't find your son, how do you expect police officers to find your son for you?" Which may be one of the most disgusting things I have ever heard. Repulsive. I mean, how about because it's your job, because that's what you're trained to do, because you have the resources to do it? You know, all these things that we're paying our tax money for. Maybe you could do what you're supposed to. She's also reported that police officers in general seem to not really care about her missing son, who unfortunately has since been found dead, which is heartbreaking. She said that they weren't really forthcoming with providing her with information, and she's quoted as saying, "The police appeared to be counting the minutes she was on the line when she called for updates on his case," which is absolutely no way to treat the parents of a missing person at all. And this isn't just a matter of well, maybe he didn't get as much attention because he's a man, or whatever excuse you want to come up with. because black women don't get the same attention as white women who go missing either. And that, again, is a huge issue that needs to change. So last June, two sisters, Nicole Smallman and Biba Henry, went missing and were later found to have been murdered, which again is heartbreaking in itself. And you would think that a murder of two sisters would kind of make the news, but I hadn't even heard these names before. I know they haven't had as much coverage as the Sarah Everard case, and again, you kind of have to ask why. And again, this is nothing against Sarah. Her case got the attention that it deserved and needed, but we need to give the same level of attention and care and resources to people of colour who go missing as well. That should just be common sense. Why isn't it happening? Nicole and Biba's mother said that apparently, or she claimed, that the police did not immediately respond to initial reports that her daughters were missing, adding that she had to personally coordinate a search operation on the weekend they died. And it wasn't the police who found their bodies, I think it was one of them's boyfriend. So again, the police just weren't doing what they needed to be. One mother who wished to remain anonymous said to The Independent that all the focus has been on knife crime. The government should have done a big public information appeal about trafficking, highlighting the fact that black boys are disproportionately more likely to go missing. And that's the thing, isn't it? Because knife crime is, and this is just purely in London, this little section here we're kind of talking about, but knife crime is a huge, huge issue in London. I know that when I lived there, I had to call the police twice about knife fights that I saw. Once in the park when I was there with Kyra, and once at the DLR stop outside my house. Lovely. It was scary. It was absolutely scary. But don't you think it's interesting that the police force are so willing to talk about the dangers of knife crime when it comes to knife crime, black men are as likely to be the perpetrators as the victims, whereas when it comes to a crime where young black men are purely the victims, in the case of them being kidnapped and used to traffic drugs, we don't hear so much about it, do we? Isn't that interesting and disgusting? It's like they're very willing to paint black men as criminals and violent and dangerous, but they won't show them to be the victims that they are in, these horrific things that are happening. A Black Lives Matter spokesperson actually described this pretty perfectly when they said that this was another example of how black people are over-policed as citizens, but under-policed as victims, which, spot on, so accurate, but also disgusting and something we absolutely need to change, right? I mean, just think about how years on, actually decades on, the media still publishes countless stories about the disappearances of white kids like John Benet Ramsey, like UK citizen Madeleine McCann, and so on and so on. But when was the last time you saw that much coverage about a black kid going missing? In the UK, I cannot think of a single one. Now, I'm not saying this is like a consciously racist thing. I'm not saying there's like a group of people who've got together and they're saying, "Ooh, let's screw up some black people today." Obviously, that's not what's happening, but it's still racism, even if it's subconscious. The patterns do suggest some kind of institutionalized racism, which is just as bad as kind of overt racism, and it's something that we need to be aware of and address and try and change. Just because a group of people or institution isn't intending to be racist, it doesn't mean their actions aren't actually racist. And that doesn't mean that real people's lives aren't being affected by those actions. Now, I don't personally have like a solution for this other than to just keep talking about it for now, to raise awareness and to hopefully, try and be a part of influencing some change in policies and procedures over time. But if you do want to find out more about this issue and the people I've covered and discussed in this, and the absolutely heartbreaking disappearances that were mentioned in this article and this video, then I'll leave some extra resources and reading and articles and stuff down linked in the description below. But for now, I'd like to pass this over to you and hear your thoughts, your experiences. Do you think this is an issue of institutionalized racism, or do you think it's something else? Please let me know your thoughts, but keep it civil, be nice. Remember, these are human beings we're talking about, and I'm not going to be okay with people just spewing racist crap down in the comments. So if that's what you're here to do, don't. But other than that, thank you for watching today. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you a hell of a lot, and I'll see you again very, very soon.